Welcome to Backstage with Richard Ridge. I'm in the Tony Awards suite at the Sofitel NYC, which is the official hotel for the 2019 Tony Awards, and I'm sitting with Sergio Trujillo, who is nominated for Best Choreography for Ain't Too Proud. So I am thrilled to be sitting with you, Sergio.
Thank you for having me. I've been dying to talk to you.
We go back how long? To Spider-Woman, or Fosse was first?
Fosse was first,
Yeah.
20 years ago. We only talk in decades.
All right. I love that. That's perfect. Well, of course, you're nominated this season for your brilliant choreography in the Temptations musical, Ain't Too Proud. Let's talk about this, because what I admire the most about this show is, you pay homage to the original Temptations dance steps in the opening number, but then you take over as Sergio, the choreographer, to bring us into the Temptations now.
I made a choice that I was going to put myself in that position of, if Sergio were choreographing the Temptations today, what would he do? Dance has evolved in the last 50 to 60 years. And I didn't think that, by simply putting their choreography on stage would be good enough. We're also doing an adaptation of the story of the Temptations. We're not recreating the Temptations. So with the evolution of dance, with me wanting to really make sure that I put my own stamp on the choreography, and also the fact that, I really wanted this to be seen through the lens of today. Those three factors were really important in me figuring out exactly what to do with the show.
What unlocked it for you? Because this musical moves, and like you said, it's not a jukebox musical. This is a musical that tells a story about these incredible men. We all thought we knew the Temptations just from their music. I didn't realize each individual story, and they're so wonderful, of all these men. So what unlocked the musical for you, dance-wise?
I thank you. I like for our show to be referred to as a biographical musical. The music itself is undeniably the best catalog that has ever existed, and it is so soulful. It is so funky, and so, for me, it was so easy to get in the room and dance. What really unlocked it for me was a fearlessness. I just wanted to get in there and create. I've had, over 20 years of research on this period, of groups from that period. Early on in my career, I choreographed Ultra Cup, Memphis, Peggy Sue got married in the West End. So back then I had done so much research, extensive research. So, for me, it was just about stepping in, telling the story, and letting myself just dance with abandonment.
What I love about this also is each character, like during dialogue scenes that are musical scenes, they dance while they're telling their story, which I think is fascinating.
Yeah, this is where Des and I are really wonderful, really strong, like just I collaborators.
Yeah.
Des and I really see things the same. We're so respectful of each other. He's such a brilliant director. He guides me so beautifully. We have great conversations. And I think the thing about our show is that we really wanted to weave dance through it, the entire thing. And more important, that there was always a presence of the Temptations in Otis's life, because it is about this brotherhood. And so, even there's simple moments, and some of my favorite moments are when they're just standing on the side snapping.
Yeah.
And we're creating these really, really poignant pictures. Yeah, so that was a deliberate choice that we made.
But you look at the David Ruffin character, Ephraim Sykes. During some of his dialogue scenes with the guys, he's doing the David Ruffin moves that you created for him.
So, the thing about David Ruffin is, again, people have an idea of what David Ruffin was like, but I had Ephraim Sykes to play David Ruffin, who is a real triple threat.
Yeah.
They don't, not since I think Hinton Battle and Greg Burge, and Gregory Hines, he's the real deal. So, it was like tailor-made. I just kept on adding and really, really creating on him, because I could ask Ephraim to do anything. I say, Ephraim, you know what? I want you to do a double tour, land in the splits, but before that, throw the mic up in the air while you're doing all of that, and then catch it while you're coming up from the splits. Okay. So, having those kind of artists, those kind of actors, for me has been a real privilege.
So a lot of the choreography you put into this show was done on the actors once they were cast.
So what I like to do when I prepare for a show is I spend 2 to 4 weeks in a studio creating a blueprint of what it is that I'm going to do for every number, finding out the vocabulary, discovering narrative within the numbers, what happens in the sequence, what happens in this montage, so that when I walk in there, I have a real plan. Within that plan, I love to be able to work with the actors that we've hired, because I don't think that it would be fair for me to just all of a sudden want to impart the way that I think it should be. I want to be. It's like sometimes I think of myself as a tailor, because the actors come in, Derek comes in, Joanne, James, Jeremy, and Ephraim come in, and they all move. They all have different body types, but more important, it's important for me to tailor make the choreography so that it suits them, it suits the world, it suits the characters.
What was the most challenging section of the show to work on, or was there one for you?
Every section in the show for me was a real opportunity to create something new and fresh. When you have a configuration of 5 guys, either standing in a straight line or standing in a mic or what have you, there's a real challenge. So I remember everything, every moment as right now when I was creating the show, because I was actually every day I just looked to it with such excitement for me to be able to have this opportunity for me to get up there and figure out exactly what am I going to do, how do I, but more important, what was important was the narrative, and that delivered me. I think the one that was not the most challenging, but the one that I was really kept on changing and kept on really digging at was Cloud 9. And again, that is another one of the sequences that in our show is a montage, because there is such narrative from beginning to end, and I kept on picking at it because I wanted to make sure that there was real evolution of the Temptations, of the group, from the beginning of the show all the way to the end, and that required looking at the vocabulary, looking at the way these characters had evolved, the way the characters had grown, matured. So that was really digging in for me.
All right, Otis Williams. We have to talk about him because I understand that he has borrowed some of your new choreography for his temps now, right?
Otis Williams has been a champion. He's been so incredibly supportive. He's done nothing but given me compliments and embraced me and really supported me and encouraged me. And yes, he did say to me, he came up to me, and, he's always been around, just so cheerful and joyful. And he did say to me one day, he said, I'm going to have to borrow a couple of your moves. So there was one move in particular that we do in this show that I got to go see his show to find out exactly which one. So.
What was that defining moment for you when you said, I have to be a dancer? Take me back.
I think, I'm lucky that I was born in Cali, Colombia. And in Colombia, it is your birthright to be a dancer. I think we are born onto the dance floor. Like, we are delivered. They don't even spank us. They just throw us on the dance floor. It is such a strong part of our culture. So ever since I can remember, I've always been a dancer. My family has always danced. They've always listened to music and they've always danced. So ever since I can remember, that's all I've been doing.
Okay, you have danced with some incredible people on stage, but of course we have to talk about Chita Rivera. What's it sharing the stage with her and being in that light with her? What is that like?
It is, for me, I toured with Chita in Kiss of a Spider Woman for 2 years. And it is probably one of the most incredible, memorable experiences in my career as a dancer, actually in general. She is so incredibly passionate, so generous. Her spirit soars. And when she's on stage, and when you're dancing with Chita, who is giving you her all, you cannot do anything but give it your all. It's an interesting story. We were in Chicago. All of a sudden, at the end of Act 1, we find out that Chita's injured. And Chita's never been out. She tore her meniscus. And she was in tears because she couldn't finish the act. She comes back 4 weeks later from having arthroscopic surgery. She's back in the show. she's dancing, and then there's this one moment where we're spinning her in this cage, and she ends up on a high releve, and I'm on my knees. You know, we're always end up on our knees holding the cage, and there is Cheetah, a true gypsy, who, because the choreographer had asked her to hold onto the cage but be up on releve and a passe, and there's Cheetah 4 weeks later after having that surgery, and because that was the choreography, she did it, and her leg was shaking, but there was no way in hell that Cheetah was ever not going to do what she was asked for as a dancer, and that is Cheetah Rivera.
Yeah. Collaborating with Des McAnuff, what is that like?
You know, Des is an unsung hero.
Yeah.
in our here on Broadway. He is a mentor of sorts, and Des is, you know, he's a genius. He demands so much from us, perfection to some degree, but always in a really positive, supportive. He's a great leader. He's a great visionary, and you know, it's evident from our 12 nominations that, you know, it's because of Des. You know, Des really led the team beautifully. To this day, he still continues to lead it. We're always talking. We're always in conversation. You know, I for me is like I'm going to getting my master's in directing. You know, because when I'm alongside Des, you know, I've always learned so much from him.
You know, we're sitting here in the official Tony Awards suite at the Sofitel. What does it mean to you to be a part of the Broadway community?
I think, well, for me, it's a great privilege and it's a great honor, but I think to be nominated, you know, for me to join the ranks of great men, legendary men and women who have contributed so much to theater, to this great, beautiful art form that is musical theater, which was created here in America. For me to grow up in Colombia, to come to America, to be able to live the American dream and be recognized and honored in this way, for me, it is something that, you know, it doesn't happen very often. It's a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity.
Yeah. If you could sum up the best part of the experience of working on Ain't Too Proud, what is it for you?
I think that this is one of the most religious, spiritual experiences I've ever had in the theater. My entire team, Dominique Morisseau, Des McAnuff, our Robert Brill, Howell Binkley, Paul Tazwell, Peter Negrini, our cast, my associate choreographer, oh my God, you know, who I've known for 25 years, and he still dances by my side, and loyal, you know, all of those things, this family unit, this spirit, this passion, this really real belief in telling this story. This is an important story in the history of our country, in the history of music, and for us to be able to have the opportunity of telling that story, this beautiful story has been for all of us and continues to be, I think, one of the highlights of my career.
It is so great to be sitting with you because we go back, like I said, I've seen you on stage dance, then you became an incredible choreographer, and you're a papa now and everything else. So it's always a pleasure.
Listen, you know, I simply adore you. You've always been such an incredible supporter of mine, always giving me, even when I was, you know, when I've been up, you know, you've had me up, and when I was down, you've held me up. So thank you so much.
I love you. Good over here, you.